Okay, so I want to go over the actual rubric for the exam. So I want to sort of make this clear. And so there's absolutely no surprises at all. So the way tomorrow is going to work, we're not going to do any algorithms. We're not going to do any lecture. It's just basically exam day. Okay, so as long as you start the exam by 12 o'clock Pacific time, then you're fine. Okay, so, and the reason I say 12 o'clock is there's a 5-hour limit. So I will be here until 5 p.m. So if you need help, assistance, anything, me or actually I'm going to be here tomorrow. So I will be here until 5 to help you. And you could start after 12, you could start at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, but you'd be on your own for the last 2 hours of the test. So I'm going to say the cutoff is noon. Okay, just in case. So there's no, nobody has any issues. So this is, any questions about that before I go on? Okay. So what I have here is the rubric, and I just want to go over, you have the same thing in, or a kind of a simplified version of it in the platform. So if you go to the BELT exam, the rubric's here. So I'm just going to show you like how the scoring works. Chuck, what's up?
All right, you know the problem that I just had? Say I had that issue on the exam. Would you be able to help me like you did or no?
No. I would be able to say, like, point you what file to look in and like where to look on the platform for the issue you're having, but I wouldn't be able to troubleshoot with you. Okay, so I can answer, I mean, I can point you in the right direction, but I wouldn't be able to go into the depth that I've been able to go into up to this point.
Gotcha.
Okay, so again, if you don't feel like you're ready to do it tomorrow, then that's fine, right? You can do Thursday. Tomorrow's just like the day that we traditionally start, right? So if you're not ready, if you want to take tomorrow to prepare, that's totally cool. Tyree.
So, all right. So I guess for the web fundamentals, it was like started Wednesday because you had Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday to do it.
Yeah.
So is that staying here or does that go into next week then? Just to clarify, I guess. So like, because you have 3 chances, but like,
Right.
there's only Thursday and Friday.
So you have 3 attempts. I would think that and the way I'm just going to make the executive decision is say, as long as you still have attempts, you can still make that attempt, whether it's next week or not. Okay. The only issue would be that your project would suffer. But that's, again, your projects aren't graded. Your projects are like supposed to be fun and relaxing and, just sort of your time to explore.
We'll see about that.
No, they are. I mean, especially after the stress of the belt is off, it's like, yeah. But yeah, I think, obviously if you have only done 2 attempts and it's Friday, you still have a 3rd attempt. I mean, if we're getting into Wednesday of next week and you still haven't passed, then, I'm probably going to come after you and say, if you still have attempts, I'm going to, Monday and Tuesday and say,
so
hey, you got to do your attempt.
Yeah, because I was like thinking about doing one tomorrow, but then I fail that, take like a day off to study and do one on Friday. And if for some reason I fail that, then take the weekend and do one on Monday kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that would work.
Right. Yeah. I think that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
I mean, if we're going into, Thursday or Friday of next week and you still haven't passed, then yeah. But that's the reason for this meeting, is I want to talk about like how everything's going to work. You still have the morning tomorrow to finish up, prepare, brainstorm, do whatever you want to do. And I can give you all the assistance up until you start the exam as you need. Okay, so if you're still troubleshooting and still things aren't making sense, we can still go over it up to the point where you take the exam. But what I want to do now is show you, basically lay the cards on the table and say, this is what you need to do. Okay. Any other questions about anything so far? Okay, let me just, give me 1 second. Okay, 20 participants. Okay, so this is the rubric that you have. I have basically the same thing, but it's a bit more in depth. Okay, so this is basically this what I'm going to follow when I'm grading your test. Now notice that we have a weight of 10. We have the total possible score for each of these categories, but we also have this column that says, what does this say?
Auto fill.
Auto fail. Thank you for unmuting yourself and saying it. Everybody sees this, right? Auto fail. So if any of these things with an X are missing, I have to fail you just automatically. Okay. So I've added these, all the ones that are automatic fails, to the README in our repository. Okay, so I added them. I haven't pushed it yet, but I will as soon as we're done. So everything that would be an automatic fail is listed here. Okay, so you're going to have this because I have a feeling somebody doesn't want it. So let me make sure I'm starting at the beginning. So the first one is implement a class structure with attributes and methods. Okay, so if you're not using classes, please use classes, right? And I don't know how you would do it without using classes, but so that would be an automatic fail. And then the scoring is here. So I'm basically, this is the criteria I have to follow, whether, and I can either give you, well, I mean, I can give you a 0.25, but anything below 0.04 is failing for this one. Okay. Associate to, so that's the next one is uses Flask to accept HTTP, meaning requests from the front end, call methods, query databases, and send into the backend. So this just means basically they're using Flask, right? That's pretty self-explanatory. The next automatic fail would be aligns model attributes and SQL table columns. Okay. And the next one after that is create database structure off the wireframe. So you have to be able to look at the wireframe and create an accurate representation in the database. Okay. So the next one is.
Wait, could you like reiterate on the creates database structured off wireframe? Like, so it's an automatic fail. We make it per the wireframe.
So if I give you a wireframe that looks like, oh, I don't know, this, am I gonna be able to show you? Hold on. So if I give you this wireframe and you make a database that doesn't have, say, likes, or you make a database that doesn't have a place for the like or the thought content, that would be a fail, right? So you need to be able to have everything we've talked about in a database, right? So you need to have the obvious things that are in the wireframe. So if we don't have a place in our database to store the user's thought, that's what we're talking about. Does that make sense? Jesse?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like if you have a like button and it functions, but it doesn't save the likes, then you're
yeah. That's why I know a lot of you were tempted to say, oh, I'll just use JavaScript. No, it's JavaScript's not going to work. You need to actually store this data in the database. You need to have a table or a column in your database to store the number of likes. Okay. All right, so where was I? Models, database. Perform basic CRUD operation queries against a database. So that's basically you have models that make query statements and get data from your database. Identify and modularize server code into MVC patterns. Okay, so basically that means you should have a folder for models, a folder for controllers, and what folder represents our views?
templates.
Templates, right. So as long as you follow the modularized structure, and if you followed my template example, this is taken care of, right? So don't do anything wild and crazy on the test where you have your folders or files all over the place. Just follow the structure we've been going over. The next one is, so for black belt, I think all the black belt, not all of them, but most of the black belt will you'll have to include some sort of many-to-many functionality. And then the last ones, notice that there's a B here. So what does that mean? Everybody know what B stands for?
Black belt?
Not black belt. It stands for binary, meaning either you do it or you don't. So there's no like, you kind of got some points for this. It's either there or it's not. So either I can give you a 0.5 or I have to give you a 0. So performs pattern validations and basic validations using regex. What does that mean to you?
The login and reg kind of thing.
Login
Yeah,
and
regex
reg,
on
but
there.
specifically, what do we want to see something specific?
Email regex?
Yeah, email regex. So make sure all you have to do is copy it, put it in your template, and have it ready to go. So trying to get there to show you. Where is it? It's in controls. Oh my God, where is it?
Is this where it says black belt many and many? Is that everything below that black belt, or is that just the many and many black belt? Right there?
So many to many. The black belt one. I
Cause like,
think-
is like column like 28, 27, 29, 30 still?
No,
Red
so
belt.
the B represents binary. That has nothing to do with black belt. So you
Well,
have
I
to
mean-
do this for these or for just to get the red belt. The only
Okay.
thing that's black belt on here is the deployment to AWS. Well, I'm sorry, and the many to many. So you need to be able to implement many to many functionality. But yeah, so the using email validations, securing the hashword using securing the password using bcrypt, and then being able to identify how a user is logged in. Okay, how do we know a user is logged in?
Session.
Session, right? Okay, so again, these are all on the README for our repository. So all of these are listed. Any questions on these? I know I went through it kind of fast. Okay, so what I want to do for the remainder of the time, if it's okay with the people who signed up, is what I wanted to do is a live code review. So we'll do the code review with everybody here so I can demonstrate what I've been doing or what I did with the other people. So if you don't want to do it, that's cool. I don't want to put you on the spot. We can just put it off till tomorrow. But do I have anybody who's written their name down? And I'm showing the names. Sorry, no, I'm not. I stopped sharing. Anybody who signed up for code review at 2 o'clock willing to go through the code review in front of the group?
Yeah.
James, you're so brave. Thank you so much. Okay, so what I did with Alex and Tyree, right? I had you guys this morning. Basically, I'm going to look at the code you submit for the code review and go over it as if I'm grading the exam. So I'm going to be using, let me share my screen again. Am I still recording?
Yeah, you're recording.
Okay, cool. Let me share my screen again. No, I was sharing. Oh, I can't bear to look at these videos because I feel like such an idiot. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at this and I'm going to go through and ask the person who's brave enough to share their code to identify these items. Okay, so I'm going to say, show me where you implement class structure. Show me where you associate two classes. Show me where you're parsing incoming data. Okay, so I'm going to grade your exam in front of you. So to make it easier and you get the results back faster, I'm going to live grade your exams. Okay, so let me stop sharing and James, go ahead and share when you're ready. Any questions about this? What we're doing?
You're still sharing.
Okay, I know. Thank you. I'm going to stop now. So when you're ready, go ahead and share your screen. Okay.
Did someone take the exam already? Are we live?
I'm sorry?
You said live grade the exams? Or
Yeah,
you're
so
just
I'm
talking
going to
about-
demonstrate. So what I'm doing, this is just a code review. Nobody, I'm not
Gotcha.
grading anybody's exam. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at James's code, which one are you showing me? Is this recipes?
I guess recipes, unless there was some other one you wanted to look at.
That recipes is perfect, actually. So I'm going to go through and basically ask you to show me every item that's on the rubric. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, first of all, if you want to follow along, it's under the belt review section where it says the belt exam. Okay, so show me where are you ready, James?
Yeah. Do you want to see the final product, or are we just going straight into the code?
Let's just go to the code. I don't
Okay.
care
All
about
right,
it.
let's do it.
Okay, so show me how you implement class structure with attributes and methods.
All right, well, here's a class with, these are all the columns in the database.
Cool.
And then here are the different methods. We've
Okay.
got a create, we've got some reads, we've got update, and we've got a delete.
Cool. So if I ask you to show me a class structure, what directory are you going to go to?
Models,
Models, right? And that's a question for everybody. So if I ask you about classes, you should be taking me to the models directory and showing me how you're implementing it. Do we associate two? Did you associate? You did. Okay. So show me how you associate two classes.
right here, you, from the model, like this one is recipe, I'm importing the class.
Cool. And how are they related in terms of the attributes of the class?
Can you say that again?
How do you relate? How are you relating recipes to users in your user attributes?
Oh, right here, the user has a list of recipes,
Cool. Awesome.
which gets used. Where's my get all? Well, I guess I didn't need a get all for this assignment, but if I had a get all, then that's when I'd fill it up.
Right. I think you did. Scroll down. You're making, yeah, right there.
Oh yeah, right here.
Yeah.
There you
Cool.
go.
Which
Oh,
is my next question. You're going to have to parse incoming data into appropriate objects to use the OOP. So show me an example of where you do that.
I really need to read this alongside you because that's really hard
Okay.
to follow. Just get the thing open so I can not keep asking you to repeat yourself. Parse incoming data into appropriate objects. I got to be honest, I don't understand what that one means.
Good, good. So if you don't understand it, then there's probably other people who don't understand it either. So this is why I want to do this before we're actually in the test. So we're parsing, the question is parse incoming data into appropriate objects to use OOP. So when we're passing data, when we're passing a recipe to our front end, we're not passing this, right? We're not passing what comes back from the database. We're taking that data, right? We're taking results, which is what? What does results come back as?
A list of dictionaries.
Right. Results comes back as a list of dictionaries. So right here, first thing we're doing is we're taking user and this is an example of parsing incoming data into appropriate objects to use in OOP. We're taking that data that comes from the database and we're making an object out of it. Okay.
Oh.
So this is an example of parsing data, making an object out of it. We're also doing it down here where we're saying user recipes that append, and we're making a recipe object down here. Okay. So does everybody understand that portion, what it's asking?
Yeah.
So what would you want us to show you for that question? Just
What I've circled here. So if I say, show me where you're parsing incoming data, where the results is the data, right? That's what is coming from the database. And parsing it means to sort of, you know what parsing means, right? You separate things out. So we're taking that data and we're creating an object out of it. Okay, so
you just need us to look, here it is. And
yeah,
next.
exactly,
All right.
exactly. So the next one, I'm sorry, before I zoom past that, any other questions about that one? So I want to make sure you guys understand what it's asking and what we're testing on. Okay. All right, so the next one, uses Flask to accept HTTP from the front end, call methods, query databases, and send info back. So if I'm asking you about accepting HTTP from the front end, what directory should you show me? Let me get my
Controllers.
say again.
Controllers.
Outstanding. So take me to the controllers and show me an example of where you're accepting HTTP from the front end, calling methods, querying a database, and sending info back. Perfect. Perfect. So where is the HTTP? Put your cursor on the HTTP. Perfect. That's HTTP, right? We're getting a route from the front end and we're using a method. That's a perfect example. Where are we calling methods? Cool. So we're calling a method, user in DB to see, and we're basically that's calling a method and querying a database, right? Okay, and then where do we send info back?
Sending it back to the database.
Not to the database. So sending info, well, is that what that means? To me, that means sending it to the front end, but you know, where do you send info? Yeah, let's go with that. Where do you send info to the database?
All right, well, for that one, then it would be a different.
Right, wouldn't be that route, right? It would be something else.
Well, this one right here, this method calls the save, which
Perfect.
sends back.
Yeah, so this is an example of sending data back to the database. And for sending data, I would say either the database or to the front end. I would accept either one. So sending to the front end would be something like, scroll down a little bit. I don't know if this one does it. If this has any render.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, render template. Yeah. So rendering templates means you're sending the data to the front end. And where we do that by using, oops, don't move.
Right.
User equals user. Okay. Let's see. So align model attributes and SQL table columns. So where do we do that?
That would be, well, that's right here.
Right.
And then I can show you the database. if
You
wanna
don't
see-
have to show it. Well, you might have to in a minute, but let's see. So the init method is how we align the columns in our database with the attributes on our object, right? So in our database, we have a user object that has a first name, a last name, an email, and so on. Okay, so that's where we're aligning model attributes and SQL data columns. SQL table columns. Questions about that? Okay. Next one is create a database structured off the wireframe. So show me, let's just look at your ER. Do you have your ERD diagram,
Yep.
Andy? Cool. So basically, I'm going to check your ERD diagram, make sure it has everything that is in the wireframe. Right? It's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory, but it's okay if it's not. Let me say, any questions about this? Okay. Next one is, where am I?
Creating query a MySQL database.
Yeah, create database structure off wireframe. Oh, the next one is perform basic CRUD queries against the database. So where do you perform the CRUD queries?
That is in my. No. I was in the right spot. It's over here. That's why. It's in the models.
Exactly. So
under
where
the
we
class.
query our database, where do we write our SQL statements, right? We write our SQL statements in our models. Okay, so you should take me to the models, one of the models you have, and show me where you're querying the database, which is right there. I'm getting better at this. Okay. Next one, identify and modularize server code into MVC pattern. So I'm going to ask you to show me the M in MVC. So which folder? Perfect.
Models.
Models, right? So models, the M is models, the C is controllers. And what's the V? What's the view?
The templates.
Templates, awesome. Apply CRUD functionality in a Flask application. So I'm,
It's all here.
that's, yeah, I mean, I think that's, we're going over things we've already covered. Programming other needed features. Okay, so I'm gonna skip down to perform pattern validations and basic validations using regex. So I'm gonna ask you to show me where you're using regex to validate an email address. Okay, so that's the validation method. Let me get my drawing out of there. Cool, right there. Awesome. Now where's the regex?
Right here.
Cool, up at the top. So if you don't do this, it's an automatic fail, right? There's no, I can't give you any partial credit. You either do this or you don't, you either pass or you fail. Okay, now next one is secure and hash a password using bcrypt. Show me where you do that.
I think that's happening over here. Yep, there's bcrypt,
Perfect.
and then where did I call it? And it gets encrypted in this method.
There you go. Perfect. Awesome. And how do we know if a user is logged in? Show me the line that tells us if a user is logged in or not.
Where did I put it?
So how do we know if a user is logged in? Anyone?
Session.
What'd you-
Wasn't it in users.py?
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, so we check. Yeah, there it is right there. If user is not in session, then they're not logged in. Perfect, right here. Okay. So that's basically how the test is going to go. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. Thank you, James, for your participation and your help. Let me stop.
Anytime.
So yeah, so I'm going to stop recording and